One of the big questions we all have in retirement is, do we have enough money to retire? And how do we ensure that it lasts? Join us as we walk through how to answer these important questions in this week's episode of Leibel on Fire.
Welcome to Leibel on Fire with Leibel Sternbach, the financial independence and retirement show dedicated to helping you build the life of your dreams as fast as possible with as little stress as possible. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for Leibel on Fire.
Joining us now with Leibel on Fire is the Leibel Sternbach. He's the author of Authenticity and also the author of Living with Financial Anxiety. And as we learned a few days ago that you've got a brand new book coming out, Leibel Sternbach.
Yeah, I do. I've got a new book, File Early or File Late on Social Security. It's going through the final touches now, and we're building out a software tool that will help you really make that decision of should you file for Social Security early or late. And it does it in a different way than most of the illustrations you've seen out there. You know, I've probably tried every financial planning tool when it comes to Social Security planning, and I wasn't happy with any of them because they really don't take into proper consideration how much money you're going to get from your investment income and whether taking early versus delaying will actually allow you to have more money in retirement by allowing you to not tap into your investment resources or to do Roth conversions. And there's really a gap in the financial planning community and the softwares being able to properly analyze this.
Interesting. So before we really get into this topic for this week, I have to ask you this. As you know, in our day jobs, we try to get to deal with a lot of amazing financial advisors. I'm wondering, why is it that it seems like every advisor has a different answer? Shouldn't there just be one answer, one size fits most? Isn't retirement planning just that? It's math. You told us it's a math issue. So
yeah,
help me.
Yeah. So we like to think that, things that are, a hard science, right? You go to school to become an accountant, you become a CPA, and you like to think that every accountant is the same, right? That they all have the same knowledge, the same expertise, the same ability. But anyone who has worked with multiple accountants to do their taxes knows that that's not the case, right? Some accountants are better than others. Some are more creative than others. Some are more knowledgeable than others. And when it comes to financial planning, the thing is that there are so many variables and there's so many unknowns when it comes to what the future will hold, right? Will inflation continue? Will inflation be high? Will inflation be low? Will the stock market, return the same, 9-10% that it has historically done, at least in the United States? Or is it going to reduce? Will, you got all kinds of questions. And the thing is, when it comes to financial planning, the answers to those questions are extremely important. And so everyone's got their own perception. They've got their own filter, their own lens that they look through the world at. And so when it comes to the question of, should you take Social Security early or late? What's happening in the market? What should you do? What should, do you have even enough money saved for retirement? Those questions, right, require a little bit of an artist touch in answering them because we don't know what the future holds. There is no magical, formula that we can plug in and know the future. If there was a way to know the future, we would all be really wealthy. But the future is unknown. And because it's unknown, we have to do the best that we can to protect ourselves and create a plan that, a plan really to, hope for the best, but plan for the worst. And every financial advisor has their own approach to that. They have their own take on that. They have their own solutions for that. And some are better at different stages in life than others. So when you talk about, why is it that every financial advisor, every media outlet, every article you read seems to have a different answer, is because there are lots of different answers and everyone's trying to figure out what the answer is, and only time will tell. Time and, some good planning to help protect against being wrong, right?
Right. So you've got this plan, Leibel. You've got this plan. You sat down with your financial advisor. and you're answering that question. Okay, I want to make sure that I don't run out of money. I don't want to have too much life at the end of the cash. So, so how do you make sure? Where does the certainty come from in asking that particular question or reaching that goal?
So the way I like to approach these problems, right, is you need to have whatever answers, whatever solutions you implement, right? When you answer these questions, the answer needs to be so overwhelmingly obvious that you feel like there is no other answer, right? And that's when you know that you have the right answer. Right now, the right answer for you may be the wrong answer for someone else, right? And it almost always is the case. But what you need to do, right, you need to sit down and we need to have a plan, right? And that plan needs to say, this is what we have a reasonable belief that our expenses are going to be. This is what we have a reasonable belief of what we're going to do and what the results of that are going to be. And what happens if we're wrong, right? How do we protect ourselves, right? Think of it like an onion, right? You want to have layers of protection so that even no matter how wrong you are or how many things you missed, that your plan is still going to protect you, that you're still going to have a roof over your head, you're going to have food on the table, and the essentials that you need in order to feel like life is worth living, right? And whether that means being able to take a vacation every year, whether that means being able to give the grandkids presents every year, right? Whatever it is to you that makes, life worth living, you need to make sure that that's part of your plan. And you need to protect it at all costs, right? And then you need to reevaluate that all the time, right? So create signposts for yourself that say, this is going to tell us if we're right. This is going to tell us if we're wrong. And this is what we're going to do if we're wrong, right? And it's hard work, right? You can't just blindly trust that your advisor is doing this for you. Because, listen, it's human nature to take the easiest route possible. And if you're not asking these questions, your financial advisor might not be asking them either. And so you want to have this in writing, right? You want to have in writing, this is what our plan is, this is what we're going to do, and this is how we're going to reevaluate it. And you want to feel comfortable with that, right? You want to feel comfortable that no matter what happens, you're going to be protected. Because if you don't feel confident in it, then you're going to be up on night, tossing and turning, wondering what's going to happen every time there's some headline that you didn't expect.
So with these safety valves, I hear you talking about. That's what I'm hearing as you're explaining this. So are you saying it's not necessarily enough to do everything right? You have to have built into this plan the what ifs and what happens if this happens, or I planned for this, but it didn't really quite work out the way that I planned. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, absolutely. Right. It's not enough just to do everything right. You've got to monitor it and make sure that it's a living, breathing plan, right? It's, you can do everything right, but it's not set it and forget it, right? During our working years, we were able to set and forget it. We checked a box on the form that said how much of our paycheck we wanted to go into our 401k. Right. We told our 401k, filled out a form and one time how we wanted invested. And honestly, it didn't really matter what we put down on that form because we had enough time for it to work for us. Mm-hmm. In retirement, we don't have that. We have to be on top of it. Now, that doesn't mean checking your account balance every single day, because I can guarantee you if you do that every single day, checking your account balance, you are going to be one of those people who run out of money in retirement. There's almost no two ways about that. But what you need is a systematic approach to making decisions so that you're always making the best decision for yourself, the strongest financial decision, right? You need a context for looking through things and those signposts that you're looking for that says, well, the Fed, right, increase interest rates. The Fed is saying that they're going to increase interest rates. That's going to affect my plan. Let me ask you a question, right? How many financial advisors, right, move their clients out of fixed income, out of bonds before the bond market tanked in the last 18 months, right? We knew that interest rates were going to go up. The Federal Reserve communicated that like to the nth degree, telling people that they were going to raise interest rates. Yet how many advisors were still allocating their clients to interest sensitive investments, things that had nowhere to go but down if interest rates went up, right? We need to be forward looking. We need a plan that tells us When the Fed says they're going to raise interest rates, this is what you do, right? The assumptions that we have in our plan are based on X, Y, Z. And if X, Y, Z is not true, we need to change it, right? Is your plan based on the market continuing to go up, right? Like it has for the last 15 years? What happens if it goes down? What happens if it goes sideways, right? What happens if inflation keeps going up? Something that most people just like kind of gloss over. 5 years ago, if you came to me and we did a financial plan, the assumed interest rate in our plan would have been 2.5% or 3%.
Right.
Now, if we do a financial plan, the planned interest rate is 3.5% to 4%, right? Why? Because 10 years ago, 5 years ago, the average interest rate over the last 20 years was 2.5%, 2% really. The interest rate over the last 100 years was an average of 3%. Now, just because of the last year and a half, inflation, right, is the average inflation is 4%. It jumped an entire percentage point over a 100-year period because of 2 years.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And so when it comes to our retirement plan, we need to plan for these things, right? What if inflation stays persistently high? What if the stock market doesn't, continue to return 10% a year? What if, fixed income isn't a viable investment option, right? What if the market changes direction? What if, and we got to plan for these things, and we got to keep our ear to the ground, because that is the only way that we're going to have a plan that really works. And we need something that's going to grow, right? Because just preserving our capital, just preserving our money is usually not enough. I don't know about you, but few people I've ever spoken to have enough money to live on that if they just kept up with inflation, they would be good. Most people need to grow their money in retirement.
That is certainly the ideal. So I'm just curious. So if a listener wanted to build their retirement plan with you or with someone else who is certified, what are the steps? What happens? What happens in that process?
Yep. So regardless of who you're working with, generally speaking, and I'm just going to speak from myself. The way that we do this is, we have a 15-minute call, and I call it a meet and greet, right? This is really just to make sure that we like each other, that, we're a good fit for each other. And, I'll ask you, hey, what is it that I can do for you today? Right. And you'll tell me, I'm looking to, see if I have enough money to retire. You'll tell me whatever your concerns are. And in telling me about those concerns, I'll ask you some questions. And if we're a good fit, right, it's something that I can help you with, I'll say, okay, this is something that we can do for you, right? This is, kind of how we help people solve those problems. And we'll then go into a discovery call, and we'll schedule that for the next step, right? That's where you give me all your documents, and then we'll do an analysis, and we'll, look at it with a fresh pair of eyes. Because, I really don't care how many financial advisors you work with. Like we said, right, everyone's got their own unique perspective. So if I'm going to help you, I need to look with a fresh pair of eyes and see what are the things that I see, right? And I'm a data guy. So I'm like, give me as many papers, as many things as possible so that I can really dig in. And I look and I'm like, okay, if I'm planning your retirement from scratch, if this was me doing it, this was my retirement, what would I do? What are the things that would keep me up at night? What are the things that you're doing right? What are the things that we can do better? What are the things that, if we don't take care of, could be a potential issue down the road? And as I'm reviewing and creating this retirement plan, right, I put that together and I'm like, okay, here's our action items. These are the things that we have to address if we're going to have a sound retirement. And at the end of that, we may come to the conclusion, hey, you've got more than enough money. You're doing great, right? We just need to do X, Y, Z, and you're good, right? Or we may come to the conclusion that, hey, you need to do things a lot better or a lot differently if you're going to retire. And you'll have those answers because they will be so super simple. They will be so obvious after doing that analysis and really running those numbers that there should be no question as to what you should be doing and when you should be doing it and how you should be doing it, right? That is what happens when you have a proper plan, is that everything becomes super obvious.
Makes a lot of sense. That's Leibel Sternbach. We're out of time. Join us next week as we talk about a new investment strategy that promises to destroy the annuity industry. It provides downside protection with market growth and is fully liquid and not sold by an insurance company. Join us as we talk about all this new class of investments right here with Leibel on Fire. For more information, visit yields4u.com. Yields, the number 4, the letter U.com. I'm Freddie Bell. We'll see you next week.
If you would like to see how the Yields for You team can help you get off the Wall Street roller coaster and save you money on taxes so you can live the life of your dreams, book an appointment online at yields4u.com. That's yields4u.com. Or call 410-914-4894. That's 410-914-4894.
Yields for You is a registered investment advisor in the state of New York and only transacts business in states where the firm is properly registered or is excluded or exempted from registration requirements. Registration as an investment advisor is not an endorsement. Information presented on this program is believed to be factual and up to date, but we do not guarantee its accuracy, and it should not be regarded as a complete analysis of the subjects discussed. Discussion should not be construed as an offer to buy or sell or solicitation of any offer to buy or sell the investments mentioned. Annuity guarantees are subject to the claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company. Content should not be viewed as legal or tax advice. Always consult an attorney or tax professional regarding your specific legal or tax situation.